Hello everyone. Now we will discuss our new chapter in Crash, that is chemical coordination and integration, with the summary in the form of the questions, right? What does it mean, the chemical coordination and the integration? As we know that it is also known as the endocrine system, right? You can see here, this is the endocrine system of the human, and little bit difference in the male and female in terms of the gonads, right? So when we talk about all these endocrine glands, these are the glands without duct, right? They pour their secretion directly into the bloodstream, right? And the chemicals which are released from these glands, they are called the hormones. That's why these hormones are also called the chemical messengers. That's why the chemical coordination and integration, how the hormones coordinate with our body organs, right, and integrate with them and work accordingly, right? We will study about all the functions of that, right? Come to the first question. This is the NCRT diagram, right? This is the diagram of NCRT which is given in page number, NCRT page number 339. Right, it is given in NCRT page number 339 as that is the hormone 1, right? That is hormone, for example, in NCRT here it is defined as the FSH, right? These two represents the receptor, right? That 3 present the ovarian cell membrane in NCERT, right? That response 1, right? That 4, what is that 4? That 4 is the generation of the second messenger. Generation of the second messenger, right? Like the CAMP, that is cyclic AMP, or the calcium ions, right? It is this is given in NCRT actually. So what will happen now? See here. This is mechanism of the action of P hormone, right? That means actually hormones acts through two kinds, right? First one is the two kinds of two kinds of receptor. First one is the membrane bound receptors, which are large in size and they cannot cross the cell membrane, right? And second one is the nuclear receptors, nucleus bounded receptors. Second one is the nucleus bounded receptors, right? First one is the membrane bounded receptor, second one is the nucleus bounded receptors. And what will happen? In that membrane bounded receptors, all those which cannot cross the cell membrane and largest in size, they attach on the surface of the cell membrane through a receptor, right? They are attached like that, right? Through a receptor, clear, on the cell membrane. And nucleus bounded receptor, the steroidal hormone which directly enters inside the cytoplasm and their nucleus and can integrate with the DNA and activate the gene, right? So now what will happen? The action of P hormone, right? That is, and one may be Q as it binds to R, it's S cell membrane, therefore acting by stimulate the T, right? So Identify the S and Q, right? Identify the S and Q, that S which cannot cross the cell membrane, right? It cannot cross the cell membrane, and stimulate Q. One may be Q, okay. And another, that Q is the adrenaline, that is the line of exactly NCRT, right? So its answer is the C. Its answer is the C. It cannot cross. And first may be the Q, that is the adrenaline, as it binds the R, right? Now there is again TPR, that T, P and R is, what are these? Actually, these are, that P is the non-steroidal hormone, right? They are the non-steroidal hormone which cannot cross the cell membrane, right? And it can binds to, that is the receptors, right? They can bind to the up to the receptors, clear, over the cell membranes which are present, and therefore they acts by the stimulating the, that is generation, stimulating the formation of the secondary messenger, that is T, right? So what will happen here now? Identify the T, P and R respectively. So T is 4, that is generation of second messenger, stimulate the formation of second messenger, non-steroid, and the second one is the receptors, clear? So this is the answer according to that diagram. Now come to the C here. This is the NCRT diagram which is given here, right? Exactly, C, that 4, the generation of second messenger, right? That 2, receptors, that 3, ovarian cell membrane, right? That 1, that is the hormone, clear? So these are the receptors, where the they are the membrane bounded receptor actually. Now come to the next, second, FSH acts on, what is the FSH? That is the full form is the follicle stimulating hormone, right? Follicle stimulating hormone. That follicle stimulating hormone FSH secreted by the anterior pituitary. It is secreted by anterior pituitary. It is secreted by the anterior pituitary, right? That FSH acts on the in case of females, it helps in the, when we talk about the females, so it stimulates, that FSH stimulate the maturation of ovarian follicles, right? And in case of, when we talk about in case of males, so it helps in the spermiogenesis, right? It helps in the spermiogenesis. So in case of male, it acts upon the Sertoli cells, right? In males, it acts upon the Sertoli cells. Why it is called, why Sertoli cells, and what is the relation of the spermiogenesis with the Sertoli cells? So see here. Sertoli cells are also known as the nerve cells or the sustentacular cells, right, or the supporting cells, right? Because they nurse the cells actually, right, they helps in the spermiogenesis, that means transformation of spermatid into spermatozoa, right? Transformation of spermatid into the spermatozoa, that process is called the spermiogenesis. That process is known as the spermiogenesis. So that's why that FSH acts upon the Sertoli cells to provide the spermatogenic substances, right? That FSH acts on Sertoli cells, right? Why? To provide the spermatogenic substances, to provide the spermatogenic substances, right? And when we talk about in terms of the females, then what will happen? It stimulates the maturation of the follicles, that is primordial follicle to primary follicle, primary to secondary follicle, secondary to tertiary follicle, then Graafian follicle, right? Clear? So FS in females, that ovarian follicle maturation is done by the FSH in case of females, right? And in males it helps in the spermiogenesis. So the answer is the Sertoli cells. These Leydig cells and interstitial cells, are, these are called the seminiferous tubule. These are the seminiferous tubules, right? And between these, that space is called the interstitial space. And that these cells are called the interstitial cells, right? These cells are called the interstitial cells, and it was discovered by the Leydig. That's why these cells are also known as the Leydig cells, and due to the presence in the interstitial cells, it is also known as the interstitial space. It is also known as the interstitial cells, right? And what is the function of that? It secretes the testosterone. It secretes the testosterone, which is the steroidal hormone. Clear? Now come to the next question. That line is also given in NCERT, right? Hormones are, that information is given in page number 330, right? In 22.1 heading, right? These hormones are the non-nutrient chemicals actually, right? They do not provide the nutrition. They just helps in the completion of the mechanisms. It stimulates, the another organs to do work properly, right? So they are the non-nutrients, right? They are the non-nutrients. And non-nutrient chemicals, so which as a messenger, which acts as a which kind of messenger? That is the intercellular messenger, right? That is the intercellular messengers. That is the intercellular messengers, and are produced in little amount, or we can say in trace amount, right? We can say in trace amount, because in NCERT that language is used, right? In that particular paragraph it is highlighted actually. Clear? So the answer is the Bombay. The hormones are the non-nutrient chemicals which acts as a intercellular messengers and produced in the trace amount, that is little bit amount. Clear? Now come to the next one. Liver, kidney, heart also produces hormones. Hypothalamus contains neurosecretory cells called the ganglion. No, ganglion is not present in the hypothalamus. It is the part of the brain. Hypothalamus is a part of the brain, but these ganglions are the nerve fibers, right? They are not present here actually, right? And they are not as neurosecretory cells, na? Clear? These are not neurosecretory cells actually, right? The somatostatin from hypothalamus inhibits the growth. Exactly, that somatostatin from hypothalamus inhibits the growth, because they are also known as the growth hormone release inhibiting hormone. Somatostatin is also known as the growth hormone release inhibiting hormone. Clear? So choose the correct statement. Okay, the correct one is the 1 and 3. So 1 and 3, that is C answer. Clear? So the answer is the C. Few hormones are listed below. Select the hormones which are secreted by the anterior pituitary, right? Anterior pituitary, we are talking about pituitary gland, which is also known as the hypophysis, right? Which is also known as the hypophysis. It is called the master gland. Smallest endocrine gland, just 0.5 gram, weight is just 0.5 gram. Situated at sala turcica, a cavity which is present at the base of sphenoid bone, right? Which is present at the base of the sphenoid bone. Now, it is situated at the sala turcica, present at the base of the sphenoid bone. Pituitary gland is divided into two. Anatomically, it is divided into two, right? It is that pituitary gland is situated at the base of the hypothalamus, right? The pituitary gland is situated at the base of the hypothalamus, right, in the sala turcica, which is present at the base of the sphenoid bone. Now what will happen? Divided into two, that is anterior pituitary, which is also known as the adenohypophysis, right? Anterior pituitary, which is also known as the adenohypophysis. Second is posterior pituitary, which is also known as the neurohypophysis, right? That anterior pituitary secretes some trophic hormones. Trophic hormones are those hormones which released from the one endocrine gland and acts upon the another one, right? They are called the trophic hormones, right? Actually, in anterior pituitary, there are two groups of cells, the chromophobe cells and the chromophil cells, right? And they secrete some hormones like the GH, that is the growth hormone, ACTH, adrenocorticotrophic hormone, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, next one is the prolactin, FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, and the last one is the LH, that is luteinizing hormone, right? So these are the 6 hormones which is secreted by the anterior pituitary, which is also known as the adenohypophysis, and from posterior pituitary, oxytocin, which is also known as the pitocin, right, which is also known as the birth hormone, and so many names which is asked in the question paper, right? And the second one is the ADH, which is also known as the vasopressin, that is antidiuretic hormone, right? And the another name is the pitocin. Both these hormones secreted by the neurohypophysis, but when we talk about its synthesis, so they are synthesized by hypothalamus. They are synthesized by the hypothalamus but secreted by the posterior pituitary, right? So now GH, that is the growth hormone, right? It is secreted by the anterior pituitary. PRL, that is prolactin. It is secreted by the anterior pituitary, right? TSH is secreted by the anterior pituitary. MSH is also secreted by the anterior pituitary gland by the pars intermediate lobe, right? But according to NCERT, they not consider it, right? But the actually it is considered. It should be considered, right? ADH, that is posterior pituitary, oxytocin posterior pituitary, ACTH anterior pituitary, LH anterior pituitary, right? So 1 2 3 4 7 8 1 4 cancel, 4 hai nahi, sorry 5 is not there and 6 is not there. 1 and 4 is correct, 5 and 6 are wrong, right? So that option is wrong. 5 and 6 wrong. 4 only, this is also wrong because not only MSH is secreted by that, right? So the majority comes under that option, that is 1 2 3 7 8. Clear? Now come to the next. Prolactin regulates the growth of the mammary glands, which causes the contraction of the myometrium. No, that statement is wrong actually. Oxytocin is responsible for that, right? It helps in the contraction of the myometrium. Clear? And instead of that, so in that manner, because prolactin helps in the helps in the synthesis of milk, right? That prolactin helps in synthesis of milk. That's why the prolactin is also known as the mammotropin hormone, right? They are also known as the mammotropin hormone, also known as the lactogenic hormone, just because it syntheses the milk, right? So it acts upon the mammary gland, but for the formation, for the synthesis of milk, and it's not related with the myometrial contraction. That is it. When we compare it with the oxytocin, oxytocin is responsible for the ejaculation of milk, right? It helps in the ejaculation of milk as well. Helps in the contraction of myometrium, that is the uterine muscles at the time of the labor, right, to cause the labor pains. So this is the function of the oxytocin actually, it's not function of the prolactin. So that statement is wrong, right? That statement is wrong. LH and FSH are also called as gonadotropins exactly because they acts upon the gonads, right? They acts upon the gonads, that is the testes and the ovaries, right? That's why, and they stimulates the gonadal activity, correct? Right, oxytocin helps in the milk formation. No, they helps in the milk synthesis, milk ejaculation, right? So that statement is wrong. So select the incorrect statement, that is 1 and 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 3, that is C. So answer is C. Clear? Come to the next one. Consider these statements, and what is the question actually? The pineal gland. Okay, that pineal gland, which is also known as the biological clock, right? That is known as the biological clock. It performs which one of the above mentioned function? Sleep wake up cycle, exactly. Clear? Regulation of body temperature, influence on the metabolism, exactly. Pigmentation, bilkul, because it secretes the melatonin, right? It secretes 3 hormones. First one is the melatonin, second is the serotonin, and third one is the adrenoglomerulotropin, right? That pineal gland is maintain the circadian rhythm, right? It is called the biological clock of our body, and the speciality of is P3D, that is before the P for puberty, P for pehle, P for pineal gland, D for degenerate, right? So puberty के पहले pineal gland degenerate, right? Just before attaining the puberty, the pineal gland degenerate, right? It degenerate, it doesn't mean that it destroyed completely. It get reduced in size, right? It get reduced in size. So biological clock, it is also known as the biological clock. It secretes 3 types of hormones. First one is the melatonin, which is responsible for the circadian rhythm. Second one is the serotonin, which is the vasoconstrictor, right? And the third one is the adrenoglomerulotropin, right? Clear? So now as we see that is the part of the biological clock, right? It helps in the regulation. Pigmentation helps, it helps in the circadian rhythm. Biological clock, that means at an interval of 28 days, right, the menstrual cycle again starts, and our defense capability, exactly. So all the functions is performed by the pineal gland, that is answer is D.